In part one, we explored garden houses shaped by silence, shade, memory, privacy, climate, and culture. But in this episode, the mood becomes warmer, bolder, and more romantic. Because some garden homes do not whisper. They bloom. They use climbing roses, old stone, terracotta roofs, courtyard fountains, citrus trees, porches, vineyards, lavender, and evening light to make daily life feel slower than the world outside. Welcome back to Home Styles Explained, where every home style has a story. Today, we are exploring romantic garden homes around the world. These are not just beautiful houses with flowers around them. They are homes where the garden changes the rhythm of life. It tells you where breakfast should happen. It softens the heat before it reaches the windows. It turns a wall into a memory. It makes a doorway feel like an invitation. And by the end of this video, one of these homes may feel less like a style and more like a place you have been quietly looking for. Let's begin with one of the most beloved garden homes in the world, the English cottage garden. An English cottage garden looks as if nature simply decided to be kind. At first glance, it can feel almost accidental. Roses leaning over a doorway, lavender spilling beside a path, foxgloves rising near a low stone wall, vines climbing across old brick, and a roof that seems to have been warmed by 100 rainy afternoons. But the secret of an English cottage garden is that its romance is not random. It is carefully layered to feel informal. Unlike a formal garden that asks you to admire symmetry from a distance, a cottage garden invites you to move through softness. The path is often narrow. The planting is dense. Flowers press close to the windows. The edges blur. The house does not stand apart from the garden. It slowly disappears into it. The architecture is usually modest in scale. Timber, brick, stone, thatch, slate, small windows, low doors, deep texture. Nothing feels too polished. That is part of the charm. This style comes from a climate where rain, mist, and gentle seasons allow plants to grow with a kind of romantic abundance. Instead of fighting that softness, the cottage garden celebrates it. The best version does not feel expensive. It feels loved. It is perfect for someone who wants a home that feels personal rather than perfect, a place where the garden is not a decoration but a companion. An English cottage garden says, life does not have to be grand to be beautiful. And from this soft, flower-filled intimacy, we move to a garden home that feels more spacious, more rustic, and quietly elegant. The French country garden home. A French country garden home is romantic in a different way. It is less like a storybook cottage and more like a farmhouse that learned elegance from a landscape. The first thing you often notice is the material: limestone walls, weathered plaster, wooden shutters, clay tiles, gravel paths, iron details, and a garden that feels useful before it feels decorative. This is important because French country style is not about pretending the countryside is perfect. It is about making practical life beautiful. The garden may include lavender, herbs, fruit trees, roses, a kitchen garden, or a gravel courtyard where chairs can be moved with the sun. It is not always lush in the English way. Sometimes it is clipped. Sometimes it is dry. Sometimes it is arranged around shade, scent, and long summer meals. The house often has thick walls that hold coolness, shutters that control light, and roof lines shaped by local climate. In Provence, the colors may be sun-baked: cream, ochre, faded blue, olive green, terracotta. In other regions, the mood can be softer, with slate roofs, climbing vines, and cooler stone. What makes the French country garden home powerful is its restraint. It can be romantic without looking sentimental. It can feel old without feeling fragile. It can be simple without feeling plain. This home suits someone who loves meals outdoors, old materials, rooms that open to herbs and gravel, and a kind of beauty that does not need to announce itself. If the English cottage garden says, "Come closer," the French country garden says, "Stay for dinner." And from the shaded courtyards and herb gardens of France, we move south to one of the most cinematic garden homes on earth, the Tuscan villa. A Tuscan garden villa is one of those homes that almost everyone recognizes, even if they have never been to Italy. Terracotta roof tiles, warm stone walls, cypress trees, olive groves, a long driveway, a loggia facing the hills, a table outside waiting for evening. But the beauty of a Tuscan villa is not only visual, it comes from belonging to the land. These homes are shaped by hills, farms, vineyards, heat, and the need for shade. Thick masonry walls help moderate temperature. Deep openings protect rooms from harsh sun. Courtyards and loggias create outdoor spaces that are neither fully inside nor fully outside. The garden is often agricultural and ornamental at the same time. Olive trees, grapevines, rosemary, lavender, citrus, cypress, gravel, stone terraces, and old walls all belong to the same world. Nothing feels separate. A Tuscan villa does not try to make nature look wild. It makes nature feel cultivated, generous, and enduring. The mood is slower and earthier than many romantic homes. It is less about delicate flowers and more about warm food, stone, shade, and time. This style is perfect for someone who wants a home that feels rooted, a place that seems to have absorbed sunlight for centuries. A home where the garden is not just viewed from the window, but lived in. Morning coffee under a pergola, afternoon shade on stone, dinner as the sky turns gold. A Tuscan garden villa says, romance is not fragile. Sometimes it is built from stone, olive trees, and patience. And from the rolling hills of Tuscany, we move to a garden home where color, courtyard life, and protection from the sun create a completely different kind of warmth. The Mexican hacienda. A Mexican hacienda garden house is often remembered for its color. White stucco, warm clay, deep red tiles, blue doors, patterned ceramics, pink bougainvillea against sunlit walls. But color is only the surface. The real heart of a hacienda is the courtyard. In a hot, bright climate, the courtyard becomes a protected world. Thick walls create privacy and coolness. Arcades cast shade. Rooms open inward instead of exposing everything to the street. A fountain, trees, tile, and planted edges soften the air and give the home a center. This is why the hacienda can feel both strong and welcoming. From outside, it may look closed and heavy. From inside, it can feel alive. Arches framing the garden, sunlight moving across clay floors, vines climbing along plaster, water reflecting under veranda, doors opening into a shared outdoor room. The materials are tactile and honest: adobe, plaster, wood beams, clay tile, wrought iron, handmade ceramic, stone, and patterned floors. Nothing feels cold. Even the shadows feel warm. Culturally, this style carries a strong sense of family gathering, hospitality, and indoor-outdoor life. The garden is not something you look at politely. It is where the house breathes, celebrates, cools down, and remembers. A Mexican hacienda garden house suits someone who wants color with depth, privacy with generosity, and a home that feels protective without feeling silent. It says the world outside can be harsh, but inside these walls, life can be vivid. And after this courtyard full of heat tile and bougainvillea, we travel across the Atlantic to a quieter kind of rural romance. The Portuguese Quinta. A Portuguese Quinta may be the quietest romance in this episode. It is not always as famous as the Tuscan villa or the English cottage, but it has a beauty that feels deeply lived in. Traditionally, a quinta is a rural estate or farm property, often connected to vineyards, orchards, terraces, or agricultural land. Its garden is not only for beauty, it is part of how the home belongs to the landscape. You may see whitewashed walls, old stone, red-tiled roofs, blue and white azulejo tiles, iron balconies, shaded verandas, citrus trees, grapevines, olive trees, and paths that move gently between house, garden, and field. The romance here is not dramatic. It is patient. A Portuguese quinta often feels like a place where seasons matter. Grapes ripen. Citrus trees hold color through winter. Stone paths age slowly. Tiles catch small flashes of light. A terrace looks toward a valley, a river, or a vineyard instead of trying to dominate the view. Compared with a Tuscan villa, the quinta can feel more modest, more Atlantic, more intimate. The colors may be softer. The garden may feel less staged. The house may look like it has been repaired, extended, and loved over generations. This is a style for someone who likes understated beauty, A shaded chair beside a tiled wall, a breakfast table under vines, an orchard beyond the courtyard. A home that does not need to prove anything. A Portuguese Quinta says, romance can be humble, useful, and full of memory. And from this quiet rural estate, we move to a garden home where romance is created with almost the opposite tools. White walls, blue doors, stone paths, sea wind, and brilliant light. A Greek island garden house teaches us that a romantic garden does not have to be lush. Sometimes romance is a white wall, a blue door, a clay pot, a stone path, and a flash of bougainvillea under the sun. In many Greek island homes, the garden is shaped by heat, wind, salt air, and limited water. That means the design has to be selective. Plants are chosen carefully. Shade matters. Whitewashed walls reflect light. Small courtyards create outdoor rooms protected from a street. Pergolas, vines, shutters, and thick walls help soften the brightness. The architecture often looks simple. Cubic forms, rounded edges, flat roofs or terraces, small windows, blue or natural with details, stone paving, and steps that follow the slope of a village or hillside. But this simplicity is not empty. It is a response to climate. A Greek island garden house does not try to create a dense green paradise. Instead, it turns a few elements into atmosphere. A lemon tree in a courtyard, a grapevine over a dining table, geraniums in clay pots, bougainvillea against white plaster, a glimpse of sea beyond a wall. The personality is bright, resilient, and clear. It suits someone who loves minimalism, but not cold minimalism. This is minimalism warmed by sun, wind, handmade surfaces, and outdoor life. A Greek island garden house says, you do not need abundance to feel rich. Sometimes you only need light, shade, color, and the sea. And from this clear island romance, we end with a garden home where shade becomes hospitality, and the porch becomes the soul of the house. The American Southern Garden Home. An American Southern garden home is often recognized by its porch before anything else. A deep veranda, tall columns, shutters, brick steps, rocking chairs, hydrangeas, magnolias, live oaks throwing shade across the lawn. But the porch is not just a romantic symbol. It is a climate device, a social space, and an emotional threshold. In warm, humid regions, deep porches protect walls and windows from sun and rain. They create shade before you enter the house. They allow air to move. They make the front of the home usable, not just decorative. That is why the Southern garden home often feels so welcoming. The house does not simply face the garden. It sits with it. The garden may be formal near the entrance, with paths, hedges, and symmetry. But it often becomes softer around the edges. Large trees, flowering shrubs, lawns, brick walkways, ferns, wisteria, magnolia blossoms, and shaded corners that feel made for late afternoons. The architecture can range from simple farmhouse to Greek revival influence to grand plantation-inspired forms. But the emotional logic is similar. Shade, ceremony, hospitality, and a slow transition between public and private life. This style is perfect for someone who loves a home with a sense of arrival, a place where the garden frames the house, the porch frames the view, and the evening light turns everything a little softer. An American Southern garden home says, romance is not only in flowers. It is in the invitation to sit down and stay a while, and that is the deeper story of romantic garden homes around the world. They are not romantic because they are decorative. They are romantic because they make ordinary life feel cared for. A cottage path makes the walk to the door feel like a memory. A French courtyard turns dinner into a ritual. A Tuscan terrace stretches time into golden light. A Mexican hacienda protects a vivid inner world. A Portuguese quinta turns work, land, and family into quiet beauty. A Greek island courtyard proves that a few elements can hold an entire atmosphere. And a southern porch turns shade into welcome. So the real question is not which garden house is the most beautiful. The real question is, which one changes the way you want to live? If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to Homestyles Explained, where every home style has a story. And tell us in the comments, which romantic garden home feels most like you? In the next part, we will explore tropical garden homes, where architecture learns to live with rain, heat, humidity, shade, and lush green life.